Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, right? Happy Thursday. Post Valentine's Day, and I am here today with Jese Gary. I'm so excited. We met in person in December. And so, in my mind, we are basically best friends, whether she
Yes.
realizes it or not. And so, I was super excited for her to be the next guest for Ep.2 of Entrepreneur Unplugged. I always like to give a couple disclaimers. This is definitely unscripted. This is us in real life talking about the things. And so for me, real life looks like I'm drinking my 3 hour old coffee. I just explained that I actually did hit brew this morning, but I forgot. And then I thought I was making it for this and couldn't figure out why it's cold. So I'm going to painfully sip this down because I've had no caffeine today. And Jesse's in real life, and so you can tell them what you're doing if you like. But I like to reiterate that this is real life. The dog can come in, the husband can come in, the kid might come in, anything's
Yeah.
possible. So there's your warning. While
Yeah.
Jesse's doing that, I'm going to make sure we are live on LinkedIn. Have a second repeat of that failure.
And I am currently in a club room recording for Bizzuto. We're doing something for Black History Month for their soul group. So I have paint and a set up here on the other side. So we're doing our live. So you're likely to see residents walking in the back, but it's quiet enough in here. But I'm super excited. And, I think this is beautiful because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Like, I think it's just showing up. That's half the battle most of the time.
Yeah. Well, showing up has typically been my biggest challenge. I tend to stay inside behind the scenes, which is why I like systems and tech. But
Yeah.
this is the year that I decided that I'm going to like put the makeup on and come outside while being inside.
But you know what the thing is about it is like I had to even let go of like certain things as well, like with how I show up. Because I would always put myself what one of the things I would like, oh, if I didn't do my makeup, I'm not going to do it. So then what I also learned was like my 5 minute face. Like this is my 5 minute face. Like I just throw this on and then because I was thinking I had to do this long stuff. And I was, again, like when we're talking about stress management, burnout, it's like we're trying so hard to be perfect. In reality, the people need to hear from us in whatever capacity. And I think that that's something important for us. So I'm excited for you to be in front of the camera and
Yes.
show up.
Well, my husband asked, he's like, "What are you going to wear?" And I was like, I don't even know why this is a question. We know what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. And if I'm feeling fancy, I'm going to put a sweater on. But I wore a sweater last week, so I decided to mix it up with the sweatshirt. He's asked me to ban the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Chaos Coordinator sweatshirt because no doubt every day that I put it on, it's crazy. But it was already crazy before I got dressed. So I figured I might as well go ahead and dress.
Might as well throw it on. It
Yeah,
doesn't, it's like the cherry on top.
that's hence the cold coffee. But all right, so I'm curious. My first thing I will always want to do is give you a chance just to kind of tell people about you and your business and what makes you you, and then we'll dive into the topic.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I've been for over 10 years doing events for apartment complexes. Uh, Technically, it started in 2010, so it's been a very long time. And it really started out of just having this passion of wanting to create spaces where people get a chance to know each other because we get so busy day to day. And with the busy day to day, we don't always get a chance to know a stranger. And a lot of us in the DC area were transplants. So I decided to do a few, it started with a clothing line, doing not a clothing line, but it's a clothing drive, not clothing line. That tells you it's Thursday. Clothing drive. And we were
I'm sitting
collecting
here like, where's the clothing line?
clothing drive. We collected over 1,000 items for Dress for Success organization. So that's why the company is called LuxeGiving. The tagline is where luxury gives back to the community. So a lot of what I wanted to do in the beginning was very philanthropic based. And then as the brand continued to develop, I realized that it was great to start partnering up with local businesses, local artisans to help with executing. So it doesn't necessarily need to be philanthropic, but I love to see that my connections within the small business local area that we're able to give people an opportunity to be able to do the things they love. The systems things is it came about in the last 2 years because I have to be very organized with what I do with events. So it's almost natural that both are occurring at the same time. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. And it's cool because even though, yes, we met and hung out in December, I never really got a chance to understand like exactly how your company started. And while I knew that you specialize in events, I don't think I realized that the focus was with apartment complexes.
Yeah.
So that's a cool twist on it as well. I think I just assumed pretty much any time there's a party or a special event. So,
Not at all.
no. So that's cool to know as well. And I definitely have some thoughts of people I could probably connect you with now that I realize it's apartment focused. But anyway, before I rabbit hole myself, I guess I should quickly introduce myself because I'm just assuming that everybody knows who I am. I'm Tanisha Stallmaker, SVS founder. We are an all-women agency. We provide system support, automation, integration, web design, SEO, courses. If it basically requires the internet and buttons, we probably can take care of it. So there's my 2-second intro there. So we, every time that I invite a guest, and I do invite guests, this is not just an open invitation. I want this to be people that I know and like and have a good conversation with. But I give everybody at least some options of topics to pick, and you picked stress management and burnout. And so as the chaos coordinator, which means that I apparently welcome stress and a little bit of burnout, I thought it was a pretty cool topic to pick because I am probably going to be the test case for whatever. So if you guys see me hide behind or go off camera for a few seconds and collect my thoughts, it's probably because she's talking about me and didn't realize it.
But I think it's one of those topics that we do need to discuss because I think often I was talking to a friend while I was driving up, and I was like, I feel like I may make what I do look a little easier than what it is. But with my team, like I don't even live in the area that we service. I live in Texas. We do majority of our events in Northeast regions. So with stress management, one of the things that I've had to do with, because in 2019, we did 503 events. So we did 503 events. And in 2019, we was really busy. I have one of my instructors right here. And we did 503 events. We were busy all the time. We were doing everything from painting classes, jazz nights. Sometimes someone just only needed a bartender or jazz musician. So it's very easy to get burned out. I think one of the things that I had to learn to help with preventing burnout is how I viewed leadership and teamwork. Like one of the reasons why I feel like people often burn out is because they're trying to do all of the things or not knowing how to create their own microcosm so that things can work. So like everyone has had life things happening and everyone's been open to talk. Like I've had life things happening. So one of the things within this process, like we have over in the DC market alone, there's 20 different vendors that I work with. So as you make that face, yeah. So, and everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different passions. Everyone has different life situations that are going on. So one of the things that I had to learn when I realized like it's better to work together.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I was trying to do and be all the things. I went to school for culinary. So I was doing the cooking classes instead of hiring chefs. Like, so this morning I had 2 interviews with chefs in the different markets in which we serve, because I'm like, I don't want to have to, just because I can do it doesn't mean I need to do it.
That part. That was a hard one for me when I first started the team, is changing the mindset of, well, I could do this. Well, I could do this. I could do this. And then it was like, a lot of that was a trust thing too, where it was like, well, I can do it. And I know how I like to do it.
Yeah.
And if they do it, it's not like me doing it. And so there was that battle of, understanding that one, people can be trained and groomed to do things a certain way, but then there's that room for their individuality to come through as well. And there's a great chance that it could be better than what you or I do. I mean, I'm definitely past that point now. I mean, if anything, it's, I think my new motto is get somebody else to do it. So, but I think that's really cool to have recognized. And I, unfortunately, as most of us probably can relate to, it takes us a little bit to recognize it, and we have
Mhm,
to fall on our face maybe a couple of times
mhm.
before we realize that there is power and growth in being able to delegate, even if it's something that you know how to do.
Yeah, because it makes it a better space for everyone. Like I always like, hey, like what do you think? Like how can we do this better? What are some things? Because I think that the biggest part about collaboration is that there has to be communication.
Yep.
And if there's not communication, then it's going to either create a one-sided collaboration. And then two, then that's when we're tempted to try to do everything. And then that creates the burnout. And that's when we overextend ourselves. And ultimately, we don't have the ability to really create what we're wanting to create. And then
Agreed.
it's not fun. Like I want to have fun doing what I'm doing as much. I mean, every time's not going to be fun,
Yeah.
but like we should have a little bit of capacity for fun.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, who wants to be at a painting class like ready to cry because you're so tired and exhausted that just defeats
Yeah.
the purpose of the event that you're having. I think
Yeah.
it's actually so. I'm gonna give myself a tiny bit of credit. While I am still a lover of apparently a certain level of chaos, I will say I've done a better job of preventing the burnout as far as in business.
Mm-hmm.
And one, for me, how I had to manage that was look at the things that I actually like doing,
Mm-hmm.
look at the services like collectively as a team we like offering. Like each year, we look back at that previous year and it's like, all right, so we've survived this year again.
Mm-hmm.
What did we like? What did we hate?
Yeah.
Who did we like working with? Who made us want to quit our own companies every
Yeah.
time we talk to them? And then we adjust. And so it's like, if we know that we don't do well with this type of personality or business, then we cross it off the list. So I think that putting in that flexibility and then having that self reflection of this doesn't work for me. Like I jokingly say, I don't do well with like super healer woo type people.
Yeah.
We can have conversation, but as far as working wise, that stresses me out because our approach to things is so different that
Yeah.
it takes us out of our element to be able to support them.
Yeah.
But I laughingly can say that while I put those things in place, I use systems and automation as a way to kind of combat burnout and stress. And I
Yeah.
definitely encourage my clients to do that. Where I am my still own worst, enemy here is when I look at outside of business.
Mm.
So I think that's the other part, especially as business owners. Like this topic isn't just specific to business owners. We just happen to be business owners. But I
Yeah.
think that it's also looking at life, you
Yeah.
know, because yes, my business is heavily automated and I have a team and I have people to delegate it to and all of that. And then we're going to get off this live and I'm going to do laundry and I homeschool and then we have swim practice. I'm on the board of 2 swim teams. It's all the things all the time, everywhere, every place at once, whatever that movie was. Like, it's like that. There's not, so I have to really be mindful of, all right, this is getting to be too much. Now, the average person I know is like, your life was too much before you even started talking. But for me, it's my normal. And so, but I do have to like be really clear
Yeah.
and very honest when I'm starting to hit that point of
But
all this shit's about to fall,
here's one of the things I've had to do to honor myself in those moments is like I knew today that, or even this week, I didn't necessarily do the best of scheduling certain things. But when I started the days off, I'm like, I'm just going to do my best. I did my prayer. And then I just kind of like go through the day and honor the process that is there. And I think one of the biggest parts about burnout is not giving ourselves grace
Yeah.
in the day to day life stuff, and also giving ourselves room to breathe or thinking about how to create certain levels of structure. Everyone doesn't need the hyper focus, but however, I think it's important for us to have some level of focus to think to ourselves, like, how can I at least not perpetuate my own misery, because sometimes it's self inflicted. So if it's like, okay, what, as you smile and point to yourself. So but even like this week, I had to, when I saw my scheduling, I was like, you didn't do, like, I acknowledged what I did. I didn't blame anybody. I was like, okay, even when I talk to people and I'm like, hey, just to give you a heads up. And I think too, that's a part of stress management is when we're not trying to speak the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
that it exacerbates how we feel. I'd rather be able to say, hey, I made this mistake. I understand it. I own up to it. However, this is what, I'm going to do to navigate around it. So with me, some of the stress management comes to just being honest about the moment, honor it, and then just kind of like head down and say, I'm going to do the best I can today, and just show up the way that I can show up.
Yeah. I mean, that's extremely important. Um, it has taken me a very, very, very long time
Mm,
to extend that grace to myself, and to realize that I'm not a machine. Uh,
yeah.
while I may have some machine-like output from time to time, that
Yeah.
I am human. I think also, for me at least, hormonally, just getting older
Mm,
puts things into a different perspective, because as we get older, our bodies have a very, very good way of saying, all right, well, you might not think we need to sit down, so
but
we're
you need
just
to
going to
just
sit you
go.
down. We're going to sit you down. So it's time to have a seat. So, and at least with my body is much louder in saying it now than it used to
Yeah.
be when I was younger, and I
Mm,
could like tame things. So my body is yelling these days. And so
yeah.
for me, I have learned to listen to that.
Mm,
Um, I think while I've always been good at it, I'm getting even stronger in my no.
mm, yeah.
And it doesn't matter sometimes whether it's a solid no period at the end or no comma not yet, but
Hmm.
being able to say, I've had people, because I have people coming from so many different directions, there are times where people are like, oh, I sent you a message or I asked you this. I saw it.
Yeah.
You didn't respond. I know.
Yeah.
Because I was focused on something else at the moment. And if I have to prioritize things, this wasn't top priority. Plus, I knew I was probably going to see you today and we could talk about it in person. It didn't require me to stop the thing that somebody is paying me to do
Yeah.
to answer your free question. So, or can you answer this real quick? No.
No.
Can you take care of this right now?
Hmm.
No. So I'm being okay with that.
Yeah, I think that that is important, and again, it just really comes down to communication, because even I think that sometimes we get too fearful about communicating. In reality, it gives so much freedom. Like, even like if I, because most of our events are in the evenings, and a lot of people that work with me have full-time jobs still. So even if they're like, "Hey, Jesse, I don't get off of work until 4 o'clock. I know that I'm supposed to be there at X time. Can you please give them a heads up?" I'm like, I'd rather you tell me this in advance so that I can communicate. And I feel like sometimes with the stress or the burnout, we're afraid to communicate certain things. But when we do that, there's so much freedom in it, because that way too, that allows the space for people to then adapt
Yeah.
and pivot, instead of perpetuating what's going on, which I really had to, it wasn't something I leaned into. I mean, we're like over 10 years into this at this point, and I still think I'm learning, on how to, because again, to me, this is a part of the leadership and team building. I feel like culturally in America, it can be very much heavy on the I,
Yeah.
and, all about myself. And the reality is that, it's a lot funner when it's not just you, and I feel that even when I'm looking for vendors to partner with, I can immediately tell if someone's not going to be a team member, a team player, and I don't want to risk that. And then some people might go out of a flow of being, they may be very self centric. Then I'm like, okay, you're not someone I can really align with in this specific season. But I think that if we don't understand, um, it's okay to sever relationships, it's okay to voice. Like, I had to really learn how to lean into someone telling me that I did something wrong, because I naturally did not do, and then all it did was stress me out even more, because I would avoid the conversation. Where now I'm like, I'd rather someone tell me, because I'm not perfect. No one on my, we're all human. We make flaws, someone can get stuck in traffic, life things occur. I think that what helped me with realizing that I don't have to be perfect, I
Yeah.
just need to do my best. I need to communicate. I need to own up. I need to be able to have empathy, compassion, directness as well in the process. But I think that's something really important for us as individuals, business owners, or just individual leaders in our own households, not just from a business standpoint, to be
Yeah.
able to have what we really want.
It's funny, something that you just said, I thought about it from I guess culturally.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other challenge when it comes to stress and burnout for us as just Black women,
Mm-hmm.
just being raised to do all things for all people. And
Yeah,
that's kind of where our worth has been tied to, is in our ability to take on everything and
yeah.
still smile and be
Mm-hmm.
strong and all of that. And so, but at the same time, it's secretly, not so secretly these days, it's like wearing us out and killing us all. And
Yeah.
so I think that the self-awareness and I'm not saying, I'm not taking that from any other ethnicity, everybody has something, but I guess just culturally, that's one thing that's been talked about more and more, that I don't think people understand the connection culturally for us when it comes to taking on so much, and this feeling that if we outsource it, if we hire somebody to come clean the house for us, if we
Mm-hmm.
hire somebody to come and help with the kids, if we have
Yeah.
somebody to come cook and do all that stuff, that we have somehow like failed,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, I tell people like I don't sign up for it. I don't subscribe to it. Like I am not that like
I am not
I
strong.
tell people I'm tired. Like I don't like I mean I'm not tired really, but like but I don't desire like I'd rather lean into the uncomfortable of unlearning certain things than having the thought that I need to be and do all things,
Yeah.
because I now think to myself, how do I save time? How do I get my peace back? Because even my friends sometimes would tease me that I do Instacart. And for me, that is definitely a struggle.
Instacart is self-care.
Yeah. I'm like, for $10, for me not to have to go and then 9 times out of 10 spend a whole bunch more money at the grocery store and then not buy what I really needed
I
because
have a cart started right now. Only
yeah,
reason I didn't hit go is because the way life works, they would come deliver that stuff right when we started the live.
exactly.
When the live ends and I hit go, it'll be 7 hours before I see them. But the second I hit it right now,
Exactly. Exactly. It always happens that way. It always does. And I think that with us is like understanding, like you don't have to. And I think that especially culturally, because we saw our parents or relatives do all those things, I just don't want to. I don't want it to be that even when I do get a chance to do it, that I'm talking about. I remember like my grandmother loved her to death, like amazing woman. But even while she was doing it, she was complaining that she was
yeah.
doing it, but she still was doing it. So like, do you like doing it or you doing that? Like, I don't get it. Like, so you're
The
cooking dinner for us, but you're
the
complaining the whole time you're cooking
growth.
dinner. So do you prefer not to cook dinner? Like, do
Yeah.
you want me to cook it? Or like, what's going on? So I want it to be that when I do cook or if I do choose to do something, it's because I actually had the choice and say I love to do it compared to seeing it as this laborious task
Yeah.
that I have to do when I really don't. Like, I think it's choosing your joy and choosing your happiness is a part of like
Mhm.
not burning out, because you don't have to do all the things. If you don't like doing laundry, like some people would get when at my before I moved into my current apartment, my old apartment didn't have a laundry, or you had the hookups. I just didn't have the laundry machine, the washer and dryer. But I told people like I often like going to the laundromat, and someone's like, "Why is that?" And I'm like, "Because I can have 5 machines." Like for me, I get it. It's not the same, However, if I can have 5 machines and be in and out in an hour and a half compared to a whole day
Yeah.
of moving things up and down,
Mhm.
to me, I'd rather just do that or just drop it off and have someone do it.
There is something to that perspective, and perspective is very important also when it comes to stress management.
Yeah.
It's funny. So weird side note now, because my brain works this way. We were looking at that new washer dryer that's combined.
Yeah.
My husband's like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea because what if it breaks? I was like, I'm not even that far into thinking. I'm like, this is gonna make my day longer because
Yeah.
I can't wash and dry at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
We had one years ago at my mom's condo that she had in Atlanta, Alpharetta. It was and I'm surprised that it's really picking up now, but it's been a while that she had it. And the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's interesting." It
Mhm.
works, but yes, it's not like if you have a family, there's no reason why you need to go. And I'm so sorry. Like it was just her, So if you needed to do your jeans and you wash them and you let it dry, like you got 3 hours because it's only you. But if
Yep.
you have like little ones and a partner or just you and partner, like that would be maddening. Like I wouldn't enjoy that at all. I wouldn't even enjoy it as a solo person, to be very honest.
I mean, yeah. I'm sitting here. I was thinking this year, like, yes, showing up was part of it, but I don't do resolutions. But I was thinking of like, what am I going to either take off my plate or do differently or elevate how I do it this year? So my goal this year. So clearly, I'm on camera, so check.
Yes, check.
But the other one is I want to have somebody come clean the house. You
Love
know,
that.
I've gotten the looks, and I was like, I'm not saying that they need to be here every day. This house, something gets cleaned every day. So no, it's not a daily thing.
Yeah.
But like somebody to come wash the windows a couple times a month
Mhm.
and do like the deep stuff to where
Mhm.
all I really have to do is vacuum and dust and wash dishes.
Yes.
Yes. And I was like, and then the next level up is having somebody to come prepare our food. I don't mind cooking said food.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like chop the vegetables, clean the vegetables, prep the stuff. Like,
Mm.
come prep it. I
Yeah.
will season it and heat it to whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, there's the things that it's like, it just doesn't make sense. The Instacart reference has been an interesting point in my life for over 20 years. So my oldest is 28.
Yeah.
When she was actually longer than that, when she was like 20, when she was 23, when she was around 3 years old, I started doing online grocery shopping then.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't delivering it. And so I love the evolution for me. But
Yes.
back then, there was one grocery store where I could go online and I could pick the items and then I'd pick the time that I was going to be there to come get it. And I could go in and they'd have it bagged for me.
Okay.
And there was like a small fee. And I remember my mom and friends, they were like, what is wrong with you? How lazy are you? Like, that's crazy. You're so lazy that you won't even do your own grocery shopping. And I was like, I have a toddler. I'm a single mom. And
Mm.
in most of my work life, I always commuted in droves like 30, 40, sometimes even 90 minutes to and from work. So I'm like,
Mhm.
when I get off and get home, I don't want to be in a grocery store. And
Yeah.
so then as I moved and, I did my practice marriage. And even during that time, it was like, what do you mean online grocery shopping? And then that practice marriage ended. And then when I met my husband, he was like, what do you mean you have you order your groceries online and stuff? He's
I
like,
love that term.
store. And I'm like, because I got other shit to do. I don't want to be in a store. And
Yeah.
so now, our neighbors in our, like, we've been here 6 years. Our neighbors that we used to have used to tease us all the time because they were like, what's getting delivered today? Yes, thank you, Connie. Still gets you. But I'm like, people were like, what's getting delivered to your house today? I was like, whatever the hell I want. And I used to joke, I was like, I get my groceries delivered, I get my medications delivered, I get my meals delivered and snacks and stuff. And I was like, the only thing missing is getting my liquor delivered. And if somebody could come put gas in my car for me. Well, then COVID came and suddenly liquor could get delivered. So I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, my stress level when I was like, because for me, those are immediately stress places. If I got to get out of the car and go in the store,
Hmm.
already stress through the roof. And so I'm like, so if I don't have to, I'm just not going to. I'm not, again, get somebody else to do it. I will happily pay somebody. Thank you. I haven't been to the store in 3 years till today. I mean, I've been in a couple, but it's like a handful. It's
I
drive
went
up,
to
cart, drop off. Yeah.
I went to the mall for the first time like the other week, and I was like, I had to pause in the parking lot. I was like, when's the last time I've been into a mall? Like I've been like, and a lot of it for me comes down to is to for a lot of times what I equate to is time.
Yeah.
Because like as much as I love that I get to do the system setups of my life, so I'm sure that some of the people on my Instagram they all know me from property management as a vendor. So some people don't understand this new development that happened in the pandemic, because I always geeked out on it, but and I was this creative. So I'm this creative that likes to think of fun things to do, but then I also know the importance of things running smoothly. So for a lot of my time, if I have downtime, I'm always equating, how do I not do anything? And even with some friends at first, they didn't understand, but they understood. Like now, my days are long, and I don't want it to be that I'm not able to show up for the people I love because I feel a certain way, or I like to be able to be present to people. So, like, even with having my schedule the way it is right now, one of the things that kind of bother me is because I like to be present. Like, I don't like to be like always looking at that kind of stuff. So I think that there can be this guilt that sometimes people can place when it comes to time and things of that nature. But I think that if we looked at what can you gain from having these, like, so if you are someone, and let me turn this camera off. Um, if you are someone that's super busy, like, to go to the grocery store, to fight with the kids, to get in the car, to like all of those things, like, it's not lazy. It's like, I rather, if I have a long day, do I want to spend that time not with my children or agitated with my kids because I'm forcing them to go somewhere, when I can just have it delivered? I can help them with their homework. We can have a pleasurable moment, and then it just drops off, and then the kids can help me put up the stuff if I needed to. Like, I think sometimes it's really important to equate, like, what am I really committed to? There's this one book that I highly recommend, and I think you will love it. It's on audiobook. Like, I have started and stopped this book so many times. Like, I was like 3/4 through and I restarted it because I wanted to listen to it, and you would swore like I haven't. Yeah, it's so good. It's called On Your Own Terms by.
I add that to my Audible right now.
Yes, it's so good. Like, I did a recording on my stories with like a cert, and a friend messaged me and was like, Jesse, is that a podcast or something like that? and I was like, no, it was an audiobook. And she's like, I need that. Like, send me the information. It's called On Your Terms by Nick Siegel, and it's Segal.
Got it.
It's so good. It's such a good book. And he talks about, like, what's your version of success? So with me, stress management and burnout prevention, the key to it is understanding, like, what quality of life do you want? And, like, understanding that it may not come easy in the beginning. However, it's like taking that choice, like taking that stand. Like, my stand is like, I do not want to be all and do all for everyone. That's not my version of success. My version of success is being able to have moments with family. It's to be able to, I've committed to having every Sunday off. That's something I have. And then I rotate every other Saturday. I've been rotating because I can't commit to I'm not there yet. I can't commit to every Saturday, but I commit to every other Saturday, and I don't work the full Saturday. I work for like 4 or 5 hours. So that, because again, with me still having the event business, I'm busy most of the work week managing that, especially as things are picking up. And then I have, the HoneyBook clients and that consulting side of my life that comes up. So sometimes it's nice to have a Saturday because no one's really calling me or needing me. So I get to go out and do stuff. But I think that's where for us is like understanding, like, what are the terms in which we're wanting to live on as well.
So every other Saturday, Sundays off. So we have the On Your Terms book. I guess if we're looking at top 5, and then I know you mentioned, of course, being honest with yourself and being self-reflective, but do you have like 2 more things that you do to kind of help manage your stress or burnout?
Yeah, I have a shut off time. And it's been something, I think, as I've gotten older as well. As much as I want to say, you remember you were like, oh, I'm a night out. I'm like, no, as soon as it gets dark, my body is like, girl, where are we going to go sit?
I've seen it. We hung out together for a few days.
So. Yeah, they're like, we're done. We're done. And I'll be like, I'm done. Okay. So I think for myself, because my day starts at like 5 a.m. most of the time, 5:30. Yeah. So I'm not even interested. And so like one of the things I've done is making sure I'm in bed by a certain hour. It's not early, like, because I'm not one of those kind of people that, unless I'm exhausted, I just drop.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it takes me to let myself settle. So I know that if I allow myself to go to 10, I'm not even settling into 12. And then I'm right back up at 5:30. So I try to have that I'm done with whatever I'm doing at least by 9, because it's like a flight down. It doesn't just, I don't just drop. It's a gradual expiration each day. So the other tip would be like, know like what your cutoff and know what your sleeping patterns are. And then the other thing that helps me with burnout is also making sure I make time spiritually. So I always have my no matter what with like either my Bible study groups that I go to, or in the morning, I do morning meditation over some scripture. So for me, stress management is starting my day off so that I'm in a good space mentally. I can't, whenever I do go from a chaos like bed and it just into chaos, is chaotic because I never had a grounding going into that day. So I love, even if it's only for 15 minutes and then I go into whatever the world is, but I need to just take that moment to like get myself centered, because if not, I can't get myself
Yeah.
back focused.
Well, it's our schedules are definitely not the same, but I think we both have similar ways of kind of managing our time and being true to what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, yes, the stress management would be business wise, delegate, automate. So those are probably two big things. I'm actually pretty honest with like our clients as well on my quirks. Thankfully, most of our clients work with the agency side more, but even my one-to-one clients, it's like my memory is terrible, so I have to record everything. But
Mm-hmm.
so then I have the peace of mind of knowing that even if I don't readily remember everything we talked about, I can quickly get to it and have that refresher. Thank you to COVID. When that started, that was a really hard adjustment for me and a very large stressor, because I was normally like the keeper of all the information. And so when that special power went out of the window, I had to adjust and adapt really quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm very upfront with our clients so that they already come into this working relationship knowing. I am
Yeah.
very open to the fact I don't do meetings on Fridays. Every other Friday, I will do a quick team check-in meeting, but I don't talk to clients on Fridays because
Yeah.
typically, honestly, probably in the next hour, I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. By this point of the week, whatever intelligence and bright things were going to come for me aren't
They're gone.
coming about 2 p.m. Eastern. Like it's just everything is mush because you figure I've been on for days. And
Yeah.
now my body like has got a timer to where it's like Thursday afternoon. It's like, listen, hey, whatever you get's what you get. So just know
Yeah.
if you have a meeting with me after a certain time of day,
Yeah.
it's going downhill real fast. So being very direct with that. So I've done Fridays off for a couple of years and it definitely has helped. Um, I have to define off. So there's like work off or business off, swims
Mm-hmm.
off, and I try not to have the worlds collide if I can help it.
Yeah.
Sometimes better than others. But for me, I am a later person. I don't
Okay.
typically go to sleep until probably around midnight.
Okay.
Um, but it's also because it's quiet. And
That's what I was like. It's probably because you're a mom.
yes, my husband goes to bed early. She's in bed by 9:30. So there's a period where it's like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to negotiate what I watch on TV. I can watch
Yeah.
whatever trash TV I want. In the
Yeah.
mornings, I might be awake around 6:45, but I don't do meetings before a certain time
Yeah.
because it's been proven time and time again. This face is already tells my thoughts before I get to even say anything out loud. It's 10 times worse in the morning when I
Yeah.
don't want to be on the call.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let me just be honest with you. We're probably not going to talk before 10, and
Yeah.
it's for your benefit as well as
Yeah.
mine. Most mornings, I actually remember that I made the coffee. And so I sit in the dark, and my husband, it's still years later, it throws him off. He's like, you're literally sitting in a dark room drinking coffee. Yes, I'm
That's
just
fine. That's what
scrolling
I
on
need.
the phone. It's kind of a quiet time. I get to kind of, I'm not a religious person, so I'm not necessarily going to lie to the world and say that I pray, but I do kind of like get myself together. Like, okay, so today, this is what I got going on. This is probably what's coming. This client is probably around this time going to do this. I mean, I'm very good at reading people. So that morning time is almost like put my armor on. So it's like, I'm ready. But for me, that's been super helpful so that I'm not so reactionary to stress that comes, because I already kind of, prepared myself for what's coming. So for me, those have definitely been important. And I would say the last thing has been being married, and, having a family. The no's to them have been pretty solid, where, like my husband the other day, he was like, oh, well, I have to work on this day. He normally takes Gabby to practice Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. And so he was like, well, can you take her? I said, yeah, I can take her. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, I don't want to, but I can. So she will make it to practice.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to be honest about the fact that, do I want to get up at 6 something on a Saturday? Absolutely not. So it doesn't change the fact that I'll take her. But when I said it, he was like, never mind, I'll just rework my schedule. But I've just found that being honest about the things, yes, I can take care of this. However, I'm going to also be honest about how inconvenienced I feel in doing whatever the thing is. So that way you can kind of decide, I don't even want her touching it. It's just, I got it,
You're aware. I can make an informed decision.
Yes. So I was like, that way, as long as we're all on the same page, it's good to go. So I hope that people got some things. I've seen some laugh reactions. I think a lot of people have been able to relate, whether it's because they've been in the scenarios that cause them the stress and the burnout, or they have started to come into terms with their no's, hell no's, and get somebody else's to do it. And again, I'm gonna put this Instacart code on here because I think some of y'all need some help.
Exactly.
But is there anything else you want to share? Is there anything going on that you want to talk about, promote? Here's your free.
The only thing that I would just say, like right now, the only thing that we're really promoting is like on the LuxeGiving side is I'm currently looking for some creatives and individuals that have service-based businesses that make sense. As much as I would know that there's some real interesting things, but we also have to be realistic that we need them to be fun. So I have some people like, Jesse, I want to talk about this. I'm like, oh, that's not really fun. So I would just say, if anyone that's watching that's a creative in different areas, you never know. I don't have to list every city and state that I am currently looking for some really cool ideas for vendors. Definitely in the DC metropolitan area, if anyone's listed.
Ooh. Well, first off, show them your thing. Show them your painting.
No, you have to see hers. Hers is looking amazing.
So
like she's been painting while I've been on this.
Yes, people are familiar with like paint nights and stuff, but they're putting it on a tote bag, and I just love that. That is beautiful.
Yes,
so,
it turned out so cool.
Oh, Connie, I'm sorry you got COVID. I hope you feel better. One of the viewers, she just said she got COVID. She's had it all week, and she got it. One of the parents of her kids. So I hope you feel better and get some rest and enjoy some binge watching of TV while you get a little bit of a break and some time off. But this whole like painting thing, I was like, because you guys are painting on a bag, I was like, we could paint on a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So I'm not volunteering myself to be a provider, but I'll come.
You're like, I'll give you the ideas, though.
I mean, I just throw the idea out there. I'm not the person I'm not a drawer or an artist or any of those things. So no one wants that, because it's going to be the fanciest happy face. I can do a happy face. I can do a flower, one type of flower. That's it. That's all I got. And
well, that's why I'm sending you a bag, so that you can paint. Like you can do your own version. So you're getting the insider secret plug.
I like it. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And for anybody that wants to connect with Jesse, I will make sure that her information is in the comments under the live, and this will also be on YouTube as well. So I will make sure you guys know how to reach out to Jesse, and I will make sure that my information is in there as well. As always, the one thing that I'm always promoting is, if you are a business owner and it's been a while since you've had somebody take a look at what you're using to run your business, let's chat and, maybe see if we can do an audit just to make sure that your business is running as efficiently as possible. For me, that is fun. And so I don't really think that's the event that you want, though.
No, that's not. Yeah, we can barely get the ones that really need the help. They're trying to tell me that they don't need it.
I will come up with like a paint night systems edition, so that we can, make people's laptops pretty or something. I don't know. We'll work it out. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, feel free to throw them into the comment section, especially if you're catching this on a replay. And until next week, have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. Have an amazing weekend.